Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together for some controversial remarks, but also later in the show, we'll meet two famous movie stars all the way from Hollywood who came to visit with us. We'll keep you in suspense on that. Lots of good things to talk about and some great people, but let's start out talking about summer camp, and not just any summer camp. It's the Armadillo Adventures camps. You say, wait a minute, what is that? This gentleman's going to help us learn about it. Right next to me is Daniel. We call him Dan Ferguson. He's workforce development coordinator, among other things. You do about 1 million things over there.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, Randolph Community College. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
Now, I know we want to talk about the upcoming Armadillo Adventures camps for kids, but I have to ask, when you're involved in things like workforce development, when Randolph Community College is involved with training people, whatever, people in the audience might be thinking, wait a minute, Dan, what does community college have to do with summer camps for kids? Go.
So, very good question, actually. Community college has a lot to do with the summer camps for kids. The college is there for the community, and so as the community college is there, we like to position ourselves to be engaged with the community. So this is a form of engagement that we have with the community. So, you know, there's a lot of different manufacturing camps and workshops that they have for high school students as they come in, and steering them in college and career preparation.
So they're going to learn a lot from this thing too. And this is the third year for the camp. So
yes.
Is there anything new this year from last year?
Yes. So there's actually a lot of new things this year. We are introducing theater to the camp. We're introducing an app.io course, which actually helps the students to design their own app within a week that they can use on any web browser, any phone, tablet, computer, whatever. You know, we want to make sure that they have a lot of things to take away from this camp.
They are really, and it's not just, you know, people think, well, summer camp, it's just let's go get on a zip line, let's go swimming, but you're really putting things in their head that they're going to be able to use in the future and maybe end up going to the community college or university and being exposed to this. I think it's great. Very quickly, anything from, well, let's call them returning favorites that kids have liked in the past, anything coming back?
Yes, there are a lot of things coming back as well. So the biggest thing coming back that I always like to tell people about is the drones. We have a drones course that we do at RCC where the kids actually learn how to fly drones, learn about applications with drones.
Get out of here.
And they actually get to keep a drone at the end of the week.
Wow. Now, what ages kids, what age range can go to these camps?
8 through 14.
All right. So I'm assuming, well, I don't want to assume, but would there be age-specific activities and things so that the 14-year-olds don't do the same thing the 8-year-olds do?
Well, we tried to do that before. In previous years, we had it separated 8 to 11 and then 11 to 14, and allowed it up to the discretion of the parents for the intermediate range. But what we ended up doing was just testing things out, and we ended up merging some classes and seeing that it was going on just fine.
Well, especially like what you're talking about with drones and some of these other things and apps. Well, all these age kids love this stuff.
Yes.
Excuse me. Now let me just ask a quick question about fee. Now, is there a fee for going to camp?
Yes. So most of our summer camp classes are $80 per person.
Okay.
And that includes before and after care for those camps. So
now, I'm glad you mentioned that because sometimes people think if they go to camp, it's an overnight thing. This is a Monday through Friday.
Yes. So it's 1 week, Monday through Friday day camp.
All right. And people say, well, wait a minute, Dan, what if I miss the week? And that's why I want to put something up on screen very quickly. Weeks of June 24th, July 15th, July 22nd, July 29th. The website's up on screen so you can register and find out more information about Armadillo Adventures Summer Camp, courtesy of the good folks at Randolph Community College. Hey, come back and see us sometime.
Yes, for sure. Thank you. Thank you. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me.
Good. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, and always glad when the good folks from Crossnor can come and visit with us. And we have a return visitor, so glad to have her with us. On my right, Jenny Taylor is Chief People Officer for Crossnor School and Children's Home. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Remind everybody of the mission, the overall mission of Crossnor, because some people who are in the Triad area, they're familiar with Children's Home. They drive by, they see what a beautiful campus it is, and it's been there forever, and it's great. You do great work. Crossnor is a newer company to some of the people in this area. What's the overall mission there?
Okay. So we've spent over 100 years of really working with children and families and providing that sanctuary of hope and healing. Today, we're really focused on foster care, both in the community-based foster care as well as residential-based foster care. Then there's support services that really help support that with day treatment programs, outpatient, and just really to work with the children and families
Give
that
the
are here in our
kids,
community.
give the kids the best advantage in life as you possibly can.
Absolutely, to really help them build resilience and to be the best that they can possibly be.
Yeah, y'all just do such a great job. Now, you have 2 campuses in North Carolina. I confess I have not been to the other one. Tell me where the other campus is and how many people total do you employ between the 2 facilities?
Sure. So our other campus is located in Crossnor, North Carolina, which is in Avery County, up in the rural Appalachia.
Right.
A fun place to visit. So overall, we have about 250 employees.
So from both campuses total.
Yes.
So what is that? I hate to get technical. How does that translate to here in the Winston-Salem area?
Okay, so we actually have about 100 employees here in the Triad.
How many new positions have been created in this area lately? Do you have a handle on that?
Sure. Just in this last year alone, we've added 8 brand new positions to our staff here at the Winston location.
Now, what kind of, the reason that we had you on today is because, Holly wanted us to talk with you about opportunities that are there. So that brings me to the salient question. What positions are you seeking now if somebody's watching this?
Sure. So we have therapist positions open. We have positions for our cottage parent, which is where the direct care staff, where we're really working day in, day out with the children that live on our campus. And also our day treatment counselor position as well, which is a day treatment program that we have with the school district. So that works with kids in the classroom.
Now, we didn't rehearse this. Let me put you on the spot here. The counselors obviously have to have certain types of experience. Therapists
Yes.
have to have certain types of education, whatever. But when you say a cottage parent, what do you mean?
So when I say a cottage parent, you're acting as a professional parent for that child. You live on campus in the residential program 24/7, 7 days a week. So you're really acting as their professional parent and really helping them be the best that they can be.
Really help mentor them too. What about, what are the benefits of working at Crossnor if I want to be a cottage parent or if I'm a therapist and I say, I'd like to change a pace. I want to go to Crossnor as a therapist and see what I can do. What are the benefits of working there?
Sure. So mission, very much mission driven. I would say another benefit is no 2 days are going to be alike. You never know what kids are going to do. So it's always, you can think you have a to-do list, but it's going to end up being something completely different by the end of the day. And for many of us, that's really what kind of keeps us going and doing some different things.
You're talking about the kids. You have a large family in the broad sense. What gratification do you get from working there?
The gratification I get is seeing kids do just even some simple things. One day I had a young man that was outside and he was just kind of acting up a little bit, and I had a bottle of bubbles in my office, and be able to just go outside, blow those bubbles, and see this little kid. He was probably no more than 3 or 4 years old, but he was giving his cottage parent a hard time to just blow those bubbles and see him just really go wow.
Isn't that
stop.
something?
Yes.
Isn't that something? Because there's such, you take everybody, all age ranges from infancy on up. So, golly, Jenny, I just think that's great. Up on the screen, crossnor.org is the information. Please go to the website, and if you want to help out, if you want to be a foster parent, if you want to get involved, and especially if you want a career at Crossnor, please check out that website, and it can get you to the people that can give you some information.
Okay.
Thanks so much for what you do.
Thank you for having me today.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Today, let's talk about neighborhoods, shall we? And next to me is a gentleman that knows all about how to improve them and work with the community. Right here on my right is Reverend Kenneth Holly. He's Operations and Program Manager for an organization called Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods, and he's here courtesy of the good folks at the Kate B. Reynolds Charitable Trust as well. And we welcome you to Triad Today. Good to see you, sir.
Yes, thank you for having me here today.
Can I call you Kenneth? Is that all right?
That is correct, Kenneth.
In what specific ways do you engage residents around important issues in Winston-Salem? What goes on?
Well, some of the things that we do in Winston-Salem is we do a grassroots effort. We go into communities and knock on doors and talk to people. We try to find out their interests or what they're interested in, and we kind of like get groups to form by interest to actually solve issues from within the community.
Well, it might be I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't rehearse this. What might be a problem? You going door to door and you get 10 people out of 30 and on one street say, what? We don't like the way the lights don't work on the street
Well, sometimes
lights,
people may have a situation that they know that elderly folks that live in the neighborhood, that the children have actually went out to college. They may not be able to cut their grass or fix things in their neighborhood. So they actually may form a housing committee and they'll sit down and talk about issues and stuff that's relevant for elders and seniors. And then they'll come to us because we have a tool that's called grassroots grants that allows them to get seed money to solve those issues. And those low-hanging fruits like that really builds the confidence of engagement in the
I
community.
think that's great. I saw in an email from you one day something called the Medicaid Healthy Opportunities Pilot Program. What is that very quickly, and what role does your organization play in that?
Well, you know, that program is an initiative that the North Carolina Department of Human Services and Health is actually implementing that will allow a holistic view to take place with Medicaid recipients and stuff. Instead of like looking from the top-down approach and trying to solve problems from the outside, they're looking at how to do a grassroots effort and engaging participants and working on housing and transportation and these other things that sometimes just medicine and things like that doesn't fix, you know.
How is your organization working with and being supported by KB Reynolds Charitable Trust? What's the connection there?
Well, KB Reynolds Trust, I mean, it really has been a great partner with our organization, investing in the communities of low wealth communities throughout Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. And one of the ways they have done, they have supported our grassroots program that allows us to have a person who runs the program and allows us to actually invest money in the community so that projects that grassroots, agencies that form from the neighborhood people can solve within themselves, and that empowers them to do.
Let me ask you one final question. I'm gonna be a devil's advocate here for a second, just be adversarial for a second. What if I come at you and say, hey, I'm an old guy, I live in this other neighborhood over here, and y'all are working over in this other neighborhood, and why should I care what you're doing for that neighborhood if I'm over on this neighborhood? Why should the whole community care?
Yeah, well, the reason why everyone should care because the more collective agencies that you form in the community, it allows people to become producers and partners of the outcomes that we're expecting. And a lot of people are investing stuff in communities, but they're looking at people as patients and clients and customers, but we're looking at people as co-producers, and that actually raises the self-determination for people to be motivated to change their neighborhoods and stuff. And if you actually are considerate to what people are thinking, you can always still play a role. Whether you live in the neighborhood, you work, or live outside the neighborhood, you still can play a role in what takes place.
And we make one neighborhood better, we're really making everybody better,
You're making
right?
everyone better, yeah.
Yeah, getting good feedback?
Yes, we're getting a lot of good feedback. There's a lot of collaborations happening. Communities are building community teams because residents are going out to do asset mapping, finding out and identifying what's already there that can be used and utilized.
Right.
And that is actually building a lot of basis within the community that can solve problems.
Well, up on screen some information I want you to check out, nbncommunity.org, which stands for Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods. nbncommunity.org for our radio listening audience. Please check that out. And also a shout out to the good folks at KB Reynolds Charitable Trust, www.kbr.org, and find out all the good work they're doing throughout the community. The Reverend Kenneth Holly, I hope you'll come back sometime and give us an update.
Oh, yes.
I really appreciate what you're doing, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, young man.
All right.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today. I'm surrounded, you can't see it right now on this shot, you'll see it in a second. I'm surrounded by DVD covers of great films. I have three very special guests with me right now. One of them is Paula Prentice, the great actress. I grew up watching Where the Boys Are and all these other great films, Man's Favorite Sport, and many, many more. And Dick Benjamin, not only a great actor in films like Westworld, but a director who's directed Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds and Cher and Tom Hanks and everybody, and directed my favorite film, My Favorite Year, which you ought to get if you can find it. And Paula and Dick have been married for 58 years. And let's see them right now. Lori Bates, our director, we have a wide shot of our great gang here. Paula Prentice, Dick Benjamin, and their love child, Rob Davis, who is executive director of the River Run International Film Festival. Welcome, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is it appropriate?
We thought we recognized Rob. Yeah.
Is it appropriate for me to say to a guest, I've had a crush on you for many years while your husband's sitting there? Is that not appropriate?
I think it's lovely.
Okay. Paula and Dick, very quickly, we have mutual friends who went to Northwestern, have found each other and been married or whatever. What is it? I mean, did you guys just meet in an acting class or what was the deal?
Well, my daughter and her husband met at Northwestern,
yeah,
too.
they met there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw her. There was a friend of ours, Jack Johnson. I was in a dorm of other misfits, and he said there's a girl auditioning. Albina Krause was our great teacher there, and she's auditioning for Peer Gynt. She's auditioning to play a troll, and he said to me, Benjamin, you better get down there. This one's for you.
Wow.
And I said, you know, I'm watching TV. You know? And he said, I'm telling you, get down there because there's going to be a long line. So I go down there and I see this gorgeous creature. And because she's auditioning for a troll, girls in that 50, whatever year that was, 57, had those long skirts. Well,
Right.
she had that pulled up into a cinch
Right.
belt, kind of wide, one of those wild belts. And I saw the longest Texas legs I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and you were smitten. You were smitten.
Instantly.
Paula, now, is it true that right after you did Where the Boys Are, which was a seminal film, I mean, for young people to see that, is it true that you and Dick were, as I'm going to put this politely, were living together and MGM said that's got to stop if you're going to stay under contract? Is that true?
Well, they said you cannot go by yourself to London. There was a premiere in London. Bob Hope and I did a picture called Bachelor in Paradise.
Right.
And Bob Hope and Bing Crosby were going. But MGM, when I called them, said, you can't take your boyfriend, you have to get married.
I was an assistant director on a play in Toronto, and the director got fired, and I got fired.
Wow.
And Paula was just coming through Toronto to see me on our way to London, and I met her at the airport, and I said, I just got fired. And Julie Munchin, who was in the cast of that show, said, why don't you go with her to London? And I said, well, how do we do that? And he had worked at MGM. He said, have Paula call him and tell him that's what she wants. So she called the West Coast, and they said, gee, London is doing this. We're not doing it. Call Arthur Lowe Jr. in London. She called, and he said, are you two married?
Uh-oh.
So we said, no. And he said, well, this is MGM. Now we're talking 1960.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or 62, 61.
You got into one of those Charlie Chaplin, Paulette Goddard situations, didn't you?
Yes, well, I'm the younger one in that situation. I'm younger than her. So she just found this kid to marry.
Yeah.
So she calls him and he says, well, you know, this is MGM. We can't have you get off a plane together, go to the Dorchester Hotel like a boyfriend. But if you get married, we'll give you a trip.
There you go.
So my dad, who knew people, all kinds of people, got a 3-day blood thing waived. We got married in New York, and off
There
we
you go.
went. Yeah.
I want to go over to Rob for just a second because for folks watching this program, we are, of course, taping this during the 2019 River Run International Film Festival. But Rob and Dick and Paul agreed to come over take away from their busy schedule because we really want this to be on air so that we can remind people about how great the festival is year-round. And very quickly, why did you want to bring these two stalwarts to Winston-Salem?
Well, aside from the family connection, I've actually wanted to do a program with Paula and Richard for a long time, and this just seemed like a good year to try and make that happen, and we were fortunate that their schedules worked out and our schedule worked out, and this was the year for
And speaking
it.
of schedules, you already know about the 2020 dates. Can you disclose
Absolutely.
those?
River Run 2020 will open on March 26th and run through April 5th, and that will be our 22nd River Run International Film
You know,
Festival.
there's so many films that are screened, and it reminds me, I wanted to ask Paula and Dick, when you're at home just relaxing, do you ever watch the films you were in or that you directed?
Not really. You know,
Not that
we'll
we're in, no.
no, we flip by. You know, we'll say, "Oh, look, Turner Classics got this on," or I'll show. You know, there'll be a shot of Paula or something, and we'll just look at it for a second. But we don't usually watch them.
We'll watch it. Well, see, I'm a fan. I watch all of these Paula Prentice and Richard Benjamin movies. I want to put up on screen before we lose time, riverrunfilm.com. Also for our radio listening audience, www.riverrunfilm.com for all sorts of information. You can enjoy the information on that website year-round. And I just think it's great that you all were here, what you've done in your career, and it meant so much to me over the years. I do have one quick question because they're telling me I have just a few seconds left. I heard somewhere that one of you, and I'm looking at one of you posed nude for Playboy. Which of the three of you did that?
Well, Rob and I are just going to look at each other. Are we?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it was me. I don't. My memory may be going. I'm pretty sure. How about you, Rob?
No, wasn't your
I-
Rob?
I remember
Well, enough said on that.
Who could it have been then?
It wasn't me. Yeah, for Paula Prentice, for Richard Benjamin, and Rob Davis, I can't tell you how much I thank you for stopping by and taking
Thank
time
you,
out of your
Jim.
Thank
schedule.
you. We
Thank you.
enjoyed ourselves.
All right.
there.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. Now, on Triad Today, before we get to the roundtable, I'll just urge you to pick up your copy of Yes Weekly. It's available free. It's just about everywhere. And speaking of everywhere, three guys that are everywhere, and they're right here, right now, on my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist. And next to him is the great chairman of the Forsyth County Commissioners, a friend of mine for 150 years, Dave Plyler. And next to Dave is a man who Donald Trump calls every night just before bedtime.
I wish he quit saying that, Jim.
Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. All right, guys. This first one is a serious topic, but it's also perplexing. Earlier this month, a 25-year-old teacher at Paisley Magnet School allegedly confiscated a gun from one of her male students and gave it back to him after school. She's since been suspended with pay. Is there any legitimate justification for a teacher returning a gun to a student, guys, and should she be fired? Ogie.
Let me ask you quick. Is that what grade level is it Paisley Magnet School? Do you know?
Oh, it would be what, 14, 15? Somewhere in
I
there?
mean, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't fire her, but she really needs to be severely reprimanded. I don't think there's any excuse for giving the piece back to a kid.
Dave?
Well, my feeling is similar to Ogie's, except I think everybody's entitled to one mistake, and I don't think she did it with the idea the boy would, or the girl would use the weapon. She spent a lot of time to become a school teacher, and I wouldn't destroy anybody under those circumstances. But I agree with Ogie at the point that she really needs to understand the difference better
Between
than she
right and
does
wrong.
now.
Keith?
I would fire her for stupidity. Number one, you don't give a gun back to a student. Has she not looked at the news in the last 20 years?
I don't know.
What students do with guns?
Yeah.
Why would you give a student back a gun?
And then
why
it
would he-
resurfaced the next day.
Why would he bring a gun to
I
school
don't
in
know.
the first
I agree
place?
with
She
Keith.
need to be fired.
I agree with Keith. More and more schools around the nation are shaming low-income students who owe lunch money. They stamp their hand, they make them do chores, they deny them hot lunches. A few states now, I think 3 states, have made lunch shaming illegal. Guys, should North Carolina adopt the same law? Ogie.
Well, if it comes to it, yeah, that's just, there's no excuse. I mean, just kick a kid when they're down already. That's just a horrible way to go about things.
How about passing a law, Dave? What do you think?
Hate it.
First of all, I'd like to see the law before I comment because I have no clue on what you should do. I know the difference between right and wrong, and I also know what kid politics is. I mean, how they treat each other, the bullies that emerge, and until we get our act together on this, and I think part of it is the culture in which we live, and we have, many times say that's okay, go ahead and have fun. And that's
Yeah, but
not
you
fun.
don't want a low-income student denied a lunch, though.
Absolutely not, and I agree with that part.
All right, Keith.
I was a low-income student. I got free lunch, and I think they should be a uniform thing that they give everyone, and that they do lunch. I think
you don't know.
I think it's wrong that they're doing that to the students, and I think
agree.
they should change it.
I agree. A fraternity at Hofstra University has been suspended after a video showed one of the drunken frat boys forcing a dog to drink beer. Now, this follows other colleges where frats have engaged in racist behavior, deadly hazings, and binge drinking. Very quickly, guys, once and for all, should we just terminate and ban fraternities from operating on campuses? Quickly.
Now, you remember when Otter was addressing the student council, he said, one bad apple and you can't condemn the whole fraternity system, and if so, shall we not condemn the whole United States of America? And I will not stand here and let you badmouth the United States.
That's right. All right, Dave.
I wouldn't worry about, we've had fraternities forever, and just saying you can't do that, and fraternity members say, we won't, and then they go into clock the door and bingo, it's over.
Yeah, Keith.
I'm a member of a fraternity, and you're going to have idiots in every fraternity, just like you're going to have idiot students. That was an idiot, and you can't ban a fraternity based on idiots.
All right, speaking of bad behavior, very quickly, Wake Forest University has formed a commission to study culture on the campus and prevent racist acts. Now, should they be applauded for setting up the commission, or will monthly meetings be a waste of time in trying to make anybody who is a racist not being a racist? Okay.
Well, I think you got to start somewhere, Jim. It may not help at all, but I do applaud them for trying anyway to start somewhere to raise the level of conversation.
Dave Plyler.
You have to understand what's going on, and in my mind, I've had the term racist applied to me simply because I'm a citizen of North Carolina, and I lost the chance to become president of the National Association of Counties because a black
From this state?
No, a black guy from City Council in New York pointed a finger at me at the Milwaukee caucus and said, North Carolina has more black people in prison than any state in the United States, and he's the reason for it. And I thought, well, what do you do? I mean, that's all you have to do is make the accusation.
Right.
Whether it's true or not, it's
All
different.
right, Keith.
I think that if you're a racist, you're definitely not coming to the meetings. Yeah.
So you don't think it'll do any good to have a meeting?
I don't think they're going to do any good. I think policies change things versus meetings. You have to have policies, and those policies had to be adhered to so that people understand that you're serious.
Right.
Amen, brother.
Because the people that are not doing anything wrong are the ones that are going to show up at the meeting. Was
Right.
Keith's point. All right, finally, on a lighter note, guys, Big7Travel.com says that people in the Outer Banks have the sexiest accents in America. Do you agree with that? And do you think that you have a sexy accent? Ogie Overman.
Well, I don't. I wish I did, but I kind of do. I really love to hear the lilt of the Outer Banks or the hoity-toity.
Yeah, the hoity-toity, yeah. Dave, do you have a sexy accent, Dave?
I ain't got no idea what you're talking about.
Dave has a good voice. Keith, do you have a sexy accent?
Of course I have a sexy accent, and I've been to the Outer Banks, and mine is much sexier than the people in the Outer Banks. I'm telling you.
So when Keith, you are in the Outer Banks, it's doubly sexy.
That's exactly right. Call me the sexy man.
Well, for these three sexy guys, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. This past weekend at the PGA, golfer John Rahm was caught on camera taking a bathroom break between shots. The tournament director apologized, saying, he heard me wrong. I told him to hurry up and take a tee. For all of us here, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.